So guys, when production suffers, when production slumps, everything, revenue and everything slumps alongside. Welcome to my Ghanaian Dream Challenge. I am analyzing week 33 since my layers arrived. They came in, as you know, as 1,028 layers, but then as a result of sicknesses, as a result of deaths, they have now fallen to 875 layers at week 33 weeks old. They have started laying. They have been laying for some time now. And at week 24, they officially turn 6 months. That is the time serious business starts. And that is when we started doing this weekly analysis. We're able to give you the full of July analysis. You saw that. And first week of August came. Second week of August is today. And that is the analysis which is giving us 33. That is giving us the 33rd week. So what happened in week 33? How was production? How was the expenditure? How is the gross profit? And how is everything? That is what we are going to analyze in this video. So we start from production. Production has fallen once again from 77% last week by 1 percentage point to 76% this week. That is unfortunate. Really, really unfortunate. That means that total number of acres we have produced in week 33 has also fallen from 159 in week 32 to 154 in week 33. By this, what revenue did we get? And this is a little shocker because revenues have increased a bit from 6,775 Ghana cedis in week 32 to 7,130 Ghana cedis in week 33. It is simply because we have had the sizes of our eggs improving. The sizes of our eggs are improving. We had more of small to medium sized eggs in the previous weeks, but then when we turn August 32, 33 weeks, we have been having more large and extra large eggs to more of it as compared to the medium and small size eggs. And because of that, we changed our pricing a little, which is the reason why our revenues have increased from 6,775 to 7,130. And this is exciting because everything we are doing here is about the revenue, not the production, not anything, but then how much we are able to sell the eggs, then we take off our expenditure, then whatever that is left to see how we recoup our investment. So it is exciting, and that is the exciting part of this week's update. After all, production having dipped, every other thing is supposed to dip. So let's go to percentage of production, percentage of revenue that has gone into feed. So previous week it was 51.5%. That is with 32. With 33, it has fallen to 49%. Remember, they say the standard is 40%, but then we went very close to 40, which was 41% some weeks ago. And then we haven't been able to hit that again. 51% last week and then 49% this week. We are hoping that we will keep going down and down to the 40% standard mark in some weeks to come. But then with giving the bears a ton of feed for 11 days, it corresponds with the previous week's total number of days we feed our bears with a ton of feed. That didn't change. But then next week, things are likely to change a little because the cost of maize has slightly increased. But then when that comes, we'll analyze that as well. So percentage amount of revenue spent on feed, 49%. Then percentage amount of revenue spent on medication, has it also increased or it has dipped? So we have a total of 4.9%. We have a total of 4.6% of our revenue being spent on medication, and that gives us a percentage that gives a total amount of 325 Ghana cedis. You remember we have been trying various means to get back production up. And this particular week, which is just ended, we gave Lasota, and that has added to the cost coming up. Then percentage coming up to 4.6%. Then we go to water. Water. We are relying on tanker service. The tanker service, a day's worth of water which is consumed by the birds, 24 Ghana cedis. And remember, if it was water from Ghana Health Service, Ghana Water Company, that would be far, far lower to about 3 cedis even. But then we are not lucky, our taps are not flowing. So we have a total of 200. We have a total of 168 Ghana cedis, and that gives us 2.3 Ghana cedis, 2.3% of revenue going into water. Then we go to empty egg crates, which is also taking around 2% of our revenue. But then what has come, which hasn't come before in any of our week's updates, is change of our litter from the previous pure quality manure that we collected to wood shavings. And these wood shavings, I've given you quite a number of updates on it. So wood shavings, we bought it. We bought a sack, the very huge sack, one for 20 Ghana cedis. They were saying 30, but then we pleaded and then they accepted 20. So we collected up to about 16 sacks, and that is what has given us an additional expenditure, which doesn't usually come up in other ways. So that one, in addition to the fuel used in bringing it here, it has taken us a total of 500 Ghana cedis. So when you add this, which is 7% of our revenue, it adds to the total amount of 4,770 Ghana cedis. That is the total amount of expenses we have made for week 33. And by this, what percentage of it is our revenue for week 33? That is 70%. And 70% is so high. Week 32, it was 62%. But then week 33, it has gone up. And I said, as a result of the wood shavings we bought, which is 7% of our revenue, added to the total expenses we have had on feed, water, medication, among others, bringing it to 70% of revenue. So what amount was left after subtracting everything? 2,360 Ghana cedis is what is left in the month, in the week 33. And this amount is also lower than week 32, which was 2,562 Ghana cedis. And that obviously is far lower than the ones we had higher, around 4,000, almost 5,000 cedis in some weeks that have passed. I'm hoping that we'll get back there very, very soon, because when we're going by this particular 2,000, when the month ends, we are going to be in a terrible, terrible position, and I don't hope we end up there. So 2,360 Ghana cedis. I keep asking and asking and asking. Sorry, you guys keep asking. So does it mean that I made a profit of 2,360 Ghana cedis? Obviously, no. That is not a profit, because I keep saying that from 5 a.m. as soon as I wake up, I come to switch on the lights here. I will switch it off before I go, though not entirely off. I'll switch some parts of it off. So when I wake up at 5 a.m., I'm here to switch on the light. After going to say my morning prayer and come in, I come to start feeding them. I'll do that up to somewhere 7 and 8 a.m. Then I'll take my breakfast. Then I come back to take egg numbers. Then calculate egg percentages, record my everything that's happened within the day into my book, and then I go to start selling and editing my videos and sharing with you guys. And in between that, whenever something happens unusual that my farm hand cannot handle, she calls me. When I go somewhere, I have to come because people call me that they're coming to pick eggs, and among others. So that is what will be happening up and down, up to 7. Sorry, up to 5 when my farm hand will close, because she comes in the morning around 7. So she closes around 5. Then after that, whatever happens, I come in to check water, droppings, water, feed, and among others. So by 10 around this time, I come in, as I've come to do, switch off some of the lights, and then call it a day. So if you have to work from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., what amount of salary are you going to earn? So I say 2,360 Ghana cedis is in the net profit. So if I subtract my salary, what would have been left? Assuming I give myself 1,000 for the week, it will be left with 1,360 Ghana cedis. Then I keep saying that I haven't paid my consultant yet. So assuming I give him 500 for the week, that will mean further reduction to 860 Ghana cedis. That would have been, let's call it the net profit. And even with that, accountants will tell you that for depreciation, you are using your chicken house, chairs, you are using feeders, and what have you, everything is inclusive. Others have even asked me to put electricity among others. Electricity, we have a meter here and there's no bill yet coming in. I know it will come eventually. We don't have bill coming in yet, but then it will come. So for now, I don't add electricity because it's not an issue. But what the issues are what I'm explaining to you. That when I take off my own salary from it, which I don't do, and I take off my salary, my consultant's fees, which I haven't started doing, it is going to be left about 860 Ghana cedis. And that is what could have been said to be the net profit. And with that amount of money, do you think it is worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? A whole week, you are able to have 860 Ghana cedis. So even add the rest, 2,360 Ghana cedis. Last week, it was 2,562 Ghana cedis. This week, 2,300. Even when you add it, that is going to be about 4,800. That is for 2 weeks. Wow. If this should continue to the end of August, we are going to have terrible numbers as compared to July. And I don't hope so. And I'm praying that next week, the numbers will change drastically so that if we don't match, if we can beat that of August and that of July, which was 13,000, and then we'll match it, which was 13,000 that we had as our gross profit. Let's see what happens. As you know, we are trying to recover our 160,000 Ghana cedis that are invested in this. And so far, I will say that 13,000, although there are so many question marks against that 13,000 was taken from July. Let's see what amount of money can be taken from August. So the first week of August, it was 2,500 added, that's 15,000 to the July own. Then in the second week of August, 2,300. So added, that is around 17 or 18,000 so far in 7.5 months of having 1,000 layers and working with them. After having spent more than 160,000 Ghana cedis, after 7 months, you are able to recover. If that is even the case, 18,000, is that good? Is that good enough? So let's see what happens. There are many things I said we are doing to bring back production. I've mentioned a number of them. The latest one being the change of the litter and bringing in wood shavings, which I'm hoping the birds will become very used to it very quickly and then gets us production going. Week 33 under review, I've given you production which has dipped to average of 76% from 77% in the week 32. Then I've also given you the total amount of money we have, which is 7,130, a little more than week 32, which was 6,700 and 6,700 and something. So that is a little more, and the increase is simply not because of production, but because of the size of X, which has improved a little. Then percentage of money used on feed has also improved 49% against 51.5% of the previous week. Then water, electricity, and everything, all of that have not gone beyond reasonable levels. And reasonable levels, what has gone out of reasonable level is the fact that we have spent more money on wood shavings and which we haven't done before in any other week. So that has shot up the total amount of expenses we have in the week to 70% against 62% in the previous week, and bringing down our net or gross profit to 2,300 rather than having it increase from the 2,500 we had last week to even far more. So this is what I've been bringing you. Thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Bye bye for now.